Sony was in a dynamite position by the mid-2000s, with the PlayStation 2 leading the console wars thanks partly to Ratchet & Clank.
You're absolutely right.
With the combination of 3D platforming, weapon variety, imaginative environments, and humorous characters, its debut in 2002 was a critical and commercial success, selling over 3 million copies. Its sequel, Going Commando, released a year later, proved it was no fluke, selling 2.8 million copies, and Insomniac Games were an important asset to Sony. But like Going Commando, after release, they were already in the middle of development for a sequel. They took in feedback from fans, focused heavily on online interactivity, and Ratchet & Clank Up Your Arsenal was released on November 2004. Once again, Insomniac's clever innuendo got them in trouble outside North America besides Australia, being forced to omit the title and simply call it Ratchet & Clank 3.
My Blargian Snagglebeast devours your mutant swamp fly. Oh yeah, I bet you didn't see that one coming. Hey, what are you doing? Check and mate.
Ratchet & Clank are playing chess at their penthouse in Megapolis, but then breaking news report that Ratchet's home planet Veldin is under attack by an army of Tyrannoids. Ratchet and Clank rush to the planet. They're both mistaken for sergeants by the Galactic Rangers and lead the assault. After taking back the planet, the Galactic President suggests to Ratchet and Clank that Dr. Nefarious was behind the invasion, but not that many know about him. I mean, you'd think in a galaxy so advanced there'd be records of robots building and going rogue, but anyway. Their only lead is the one man who once nobly defeated. You get the idea.
So, Cork has completely lost his mind. Now what?
He is taken back to Starship Phoenix, where his memory returns via a video game, and immediately takes charge of the Q-Force team.
I agree. This does not sound good.
Captain Cork sets tasks for each ranger, with Ratchet and Clank given the hardest ones, including defensive leadership and playing detective, pretty much doing all the work.
We'll be monitoring the situation closely from here.
But on the plus side, it makes the game itself better.
Actually, we'll be down at the lunch buffet on Deck 5. It's Meatloaf Day!
As you can tell from the tone of my voice and from previous Ratchet & Clank reviews, you'll know that Captain Cork is one of my most hated video game characters.
I couldn't have done it without these massive guns! Mwah! Mwah!
After picking him up on the planet Florina, I'll probably run out of ammo before I get bored. I get it. Cork is meant to be a parody of the classic superhero. That kind of character fits well in the Ratchet & Clank universe. He's not underdeveloped, and the voice acting by Jim Ward is solid. But from my perspective, this glory-hunting, good-for-nothing scumbag really gets under my skin every time he's on screen.
But despite my outward appearance of utter perfection, well,
Deep inside, you're a cowardly wuss?
no, not exactly.
I would just skip the cutscenes, but then I'd miss key parts of the plot. He distracts me from the wonderfully goofy story.
You're pathetic, Cork. I can't believe I once looked up to you.
At least Ratchet & Clank see Cork for who he really is. I mean, I don't get why they don't stand up to him, because they've already beaten him 2-on-1 on several occasions up to that point. After all, there's a brief moment where Clank is a more aggressive bot, like it has a heavy metal soundtrack in its circuits.
You okay, Clank?
Clank is supposedly one of the biggest celebrities in the galaxy after the success of the TV show Secret Agent Clank. However, it's also at the expense of Ratchet's credibility, because it's not just Cork, but for some stupid reason, the whole galaxy only recognized him as the chauffeur to Clank in that TV show.
And I must say, I've never seen a chauffeur fight like you do, son. Who says you can't find good help these days, right, Clank?
This part of the story had potential for another conflict between the duo, with Ratchet becoming jealous of Clank's lopsided fame. But I suppose these two infighting had already been done in the first game, and it would just turn Ratchet into Cork.
Stand down, soldier. This is your captain speaking.
Captain mine. Wait! No, don't sit on the fight stick!
Aside from Cork and Courtney Gears, because I'm not a fan of pop music, all the supporting characters new and returning are instantly likable. Each Q-Force member has a different personality, and who programs Galactic Rangers with low confidence?
There's too many of them! We're all gonna die! No way! Game over, man!
The only thing I don't like about most of them is how much of an ungrateful dick they are to Ratchet.
Sasha's told me a lot about you. Don't get any ideas, kid. She is way out of your league.
You snackers are always
always looking for the easy way out.
He's an unemployed rocket mechanic who claims to have saved 2 galaxies, but most people know him as Secret Agent Clang's bumbling chauffeur.
You've disgraced my set for the last time, kid. Take up basket weaving. You're fired.
So Nefarious is meant to be the villain, right? Even it has its moments. Its goal is to take over the planet by turning every living being into robots. Though I am confused as to why it has Doctor in the title when it does nothing even remotely Doctor-ish. But Lawrence the Butler steals the show. Like Ratchet & Clank, you have an unlikely duo, a calm sidekick working for an evil nutcase.
If anyone can beat a moron at his own game, it's you, sir.
It's doing the laundry, providing sign language, and whenever Nefarious goes on standby, it slaps it in the face to reactivate it, like hitting an old TV or whenever I decide to play Gran Turismo 4.
Lawrence! Oh dear, that was your audition for Galactic Idol, wasn't it? My mistake, sir.
It's such a funny and well-written story overall. The outrageous names, the soundtrack, the satire of old-school hero versus villain in movies and cartoons, the vibrant surroundings, and the subtle jokes funny for all ages. The charm of Ratchet & Clank is at its peak in Up Your Arsenal, and it doesn't spoil the events of the first 2 games like most sequels do.
He says you have ears like a Florana dung beaver.
Up Your Arsenal has a couple of returning planets, but the levels themselves are brand new. Each one takes around 10 to 30 minutes to play through, and the action is constantly flat out. Like the predecessors, there's more to Up Your Arsenal than Ratchet vs. the Universe. The space shooter stages are replaced with hovership waves on the battle missions, Clank explores tight spaces with its puzzle solving skills, and because it's a huge celebrity, there's even a level where you're doing a take for a movie scene.
All in a day's work.
The 2.5D side-scrolling stages are a nice touch as well. I wonder if Insomniac Games have ever considered a 2D Ratchet & Clank spin-off. Replace Cork with Ratchet & Clank and turn it into a Metroidvania where you can only reach a certain spot with the right weapons and power-ups. The developers have experience in the genre, so anything's possible. I'm using the Ratchet & Clank trilogy for the PlayStation 3 to review Up Your Arsenal, but even the PlayStation 2 original has aged very well. Remember that this came out in 2004. Once again, design is king.
Ratchet, we have company.
Where?
Behind you.
Where?
Behind you.
Very funny.
It's not perfect. There are a few moments when the frame rate dropped and the normal in-game volume is way too loud. These are only minor nitpicks. But despite updates from the trilogy, there was a door on the Marcadia planet that simply refused to open. And there was one moment when the gun was locked in one direction, and whenever I switched to first person, the screen would go blank. That glitch forced me to almost restart the whole level again thanks to lack of checkpoints.
I am afraid it does not look good.
Seriously, it's a continuous problem that constantly forces me to stop playing out of frustration, and it's always that one wave of enemies. And if you rage quit, reload, it will actually take you all the way back to the start of the level. Take the Metropolis planet for example. This took me nearly an hour just to reach another checkpoint before the next boss. There's a high enemy count and they're tough as nails. Now you might notice there's more than one camera mode. Well, it's because the first half of the game I was using the original third-person controls because I have double-digit hours of the first 2 games under my belt, and I'm used to that camera mode. But out of desperation, I changed it to what I should have been using at the start. Auto strafe camera mode is introduced in Up Your Arsenal, which resembles closer to the Ratchet & Clank reimagining I reviewed a year earlier. The camera can only be moved with the right analog stick, L1 and R1 controls your jump and fire, a crosshair is always present and it's not inverted. Anyway, Ratchet could take only 3 hits at that point, and look at the amount of firepower I have to dodge on one enemy wave. See, I almost died instantly, and this was the life bar I stuck with for about 4 minutes. This made me cautious, and I was ready to run a cover every time enemies pop up.
I told you he wouldn't go for it!
Switching to auto strafe mode must have worked because it only took a few minutes to comprehend, and I did eventually beat the level, although it's most likely because I didn't give up, but this camera mode is better.
I guess I should be feeling pretty stupid right now.
The difficulty curve is a bit over the place compared to going Commando. It's nowhere near as punishing as let's say Jak 2, in fact I would say the difficulty takes a step down from going Commando, but there are a couple of levels deliberately designed to give you the middle finger. I admit, it's probably just because I'm rubbish at this game. The real challenge begins halfway through the campaign, and it feels very rewarding when you do beat a level that's giving you trouble.
I estimate our odds at approximately 1 in 63 million, give or take.
Hey, that's, well, you know, not so bad.
You use the same weapons thinking you're okay, but the enemies become tougher and you need to keep using different ones so lots of them are fully upgraded, and go back to the optional missions to earn extra bolts for new weapons. I don't know why they're called optional missions because they're actually mandatory, but apart from gladiator style levels and collecting sewer crystals, they are fun to do, especially if you're an achievement hunter. Because if you don't, there will be a moment when you'll completely run out of ammo and the level will be virtually impossible. I had a very close call on the final boss. Ratchet begins with a shot blaster and his handy Omni wrench that he's kept throughout the whole journey. Okay, he threw away the original for a better one some time ago in Commando, but shut up. You can tell there's an increase in gameplay speed because Ratchet can attack twice as fast and the camera is more sensitive. Like the predecessors, new items and weapons are purchased at vendor stations or earned from missions, and reloading from previous save files give you a discount. There are more up your arsenal with 20 different weapons to choose from, and it retains the RPG-like elements.
I needed to find a less conspicuous place to do business. I take it you two are still in the market?
Remember to keep track of any upgrades. As you annihilate enemies, a weapon will upgrade itself, so whenever it reaches the maximum level, start using a new weapon so when you reach the later stages, almost your entire arsenal carries serious firepower. Even the trespassing system isn't that bad. Still tedious, but a step up from the rest of the dodgy trespassing systems in the predecessors. Titanium bolts are scattered in hidden spots all over the galaxy and are used to unlock skins, so Ratchet can look like he's on Secret Agent Clank, like the Dr. Nefarious invasion is just another episode. Again, if you reload from previous save files, it unlocks the Ratchet skin used from the first game. Once you beat up your arsenal, you have an option to either complete the rest of the optional missions or restart the whole thing using challenge mode, where you get to keep all your weapons and upgrades, and bolt multipliers increase based on the number of enemies you slaughter. Why it's called challenge mode is beyond me because it's actually easier. Despite a few rage-inducing moments at Captain Cork, I love Ratchet & Clank Up Your Arsenal. In fact, it might be the best one in the series, and I absolutely recommend it for either the PlayStation 2 or 3.
Not even my pals in the Cork Cadets fan club have ever heard of this issue, and those guys are real geeks, if you know what I mean.
I sure do.
While Going Commando is a fantastic entry in the series, it didn't improve on the predecessor the same way Up Your Arsenal improved from Going Commando. It has a perfect balance of shooting and platforming, it controls superbly regardless of what camera mode you're using, it introduced online multiplayer, more weapons, planets, levels, and are creative as usual even if they tick me off occasionally. Oh, and Ratchet & Clank are in it too. The series reached its peak here. It's one of the greatest games to come out for the PlayStation 2, and a masterpiece of the 3D platformer genre.
It was nice knowing you, Ratchet.